And they're located all over the world. We have R&D offices here in the United States. We also have them in the UK, we have them in France, we have them in India and China, and all over the place. So we have a lot of different offices and a lot of things that our scientists and engineers get to work on every day. In the past 5 years, our company has launched over 100 different products, which is a lot of different things that we can put onto the market that are helping save patient lives and making people's lives better every day. And that's really why we come to work, is we try to make different devices that are going to help save people's lives, that are going to make them feel better when they're sick and in the hospital. And that's what we come to work for. So I'm an engineer. I don't know really how I got onto this path, but I started in high school taking a lot of math and science classes. I really loved numbers, and I loved playing with things in the lab and learning, how things worked. And I tried to take as many different math and science classes as I could. And I had a really supportive mom who tried to kind of push me in that direction because she saw that I had an interest. And I thought all along that I wanted to be a doctor. So when I started to look into going into college, my mom actually found biomedical engineering. And it was a nice major that you could have, that if I wanted to be a doctor, I could, but if I found that I liked something else, I could still be an engineer. So after 4 years of a lot of math and science classes, I thought that I was kind of done with the school portion. And I decided I didn't want to be a doctor, and I really loved engineering. I loved the hands-on aspect of it, and being in the lab and making different devices, and just all together learning how things worked. And I graduated from UConn, and I got my job here at Covidien. And I got put on a team that made a unique suture device. And sutures are just a piece of plastic string, and they have a needle attached. If anyone's gotten stitches before, they used a suture for that. And it was really an old device that's been around for a long time and hadn't really been innovated on. And our company was looking to change the way that sutures were placed in the body. And we started to make a barbed suture. So if you think about the thorns on a rose stem, and they have little pieces coming out of the stem, that's kind of what our suture looks like, except it's not sharp and it doesn't hurt anybody. And you'll see it later today. We'll start playing with it. So I was on the team that helped to develop that device. I looked at the geometry and how we should be cutting the angles into the barbed suture, and really found which was the optimal holding strength. And one of the best things about the suture is that you don't have to tie any knots in it. So that was my first project out of college, and I was on that team for about 2.5 years. And now I'm part of a different type of team. So when you think of an engineer, you probably think of them in the lab, developing things, having hands-on experience. And that's really what I did when I worked on the suture project, but now I'm on a team called Innovation Management. So our team is constantly looking ahead and thinking about what are the cool new technologies that we could start to implement into our devices to make them that much better. So we really spend a lot of time in the market, talking to our doctors, finding out where they're struggling with some of the procedures, and how we can kind of fill those gaps and fill their needs with new and innovative products. So our team helps to kind of guide the other R&D teams on what they should be working on, or what technologies we think that we should start developing in-house, or we should start supporting from a smaller company and maybe bring in that technology. So I have a really unique job as an engineer. I'm not, traditionally in the lab. I don't have a lot of hands-on experience, but I'm still really involved in the technologies of learning what's new and out there that we can help bring into our team. So you don't always have to think of an engineer as a traditional route. There's a lot of different things that we could do. I could have gone the medical route and been a doctor. I could have stayed in the lab and developed more products like I did when I first got out of school. Or I can do different things like I'm doing now, and kind of doing more strategic planning to develop, what products we should have in our portfolio. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with your degree once you start getting into college and getting out into the field. Just think of it as a big picture, and you can kind of choose whichever path you want it to be.
My name's Jackie. I'm a biomedical engineer as well, and I was actually, it's funny that our team's named marine biologist because that's actually what I wanted to be at your age. When I was your age, I wanted to be a marine biologist or an archaeologist. Who here has seen Indiana Jones? Having the last name Jones, I wanted to grow up to be Dr. Jones. So that was the career path I wanted, one of those two. And I had a cousin who actually got hit by a truck. He was, I think, 10 at the time. And thankfully his backpack got caught underneath the truck, but his hand went under the tire, and it took a lot of damage, put it that way. And at that time, back there with the latest, newest technology, was that they sewed his hand into his stomach between the layers of skin and kept it there for 3 months. And what that did is the vasculature from his skin grew into his hand. And then they were able to cut it off, and he has a perfectly normal looking hand. He has a scar here that kind of looks like a cat's face if you squint a little bit, but he's led a full life, has a functioning, working hand. And when that happened, I was like, I want to do that. I want to either be a pediatrician that helps him or someone that makes that. But at that point, I had never known any career in my family. I'm first generation from Puerto Rico and from other places, and no one in my family knew anything about engineering, anything about medicine. So when I reached high school age, actually, a boy influenced me. I had a boyfriend who wanted to go to an engineering school, and he convinced me to come with him to check it out. And while there, I heard of this thing called biomedical engineering, and I heard of tissue engineering. And I was like, ooh, you get to make tissue? That's exactly what my cousin could have used, was tissue that you could just make in a petri dish and put on your hand. So I decided I wanted that day, I'm going to become a biomedical engineer. So chose the field he had suggested, went to a different school, went to one local more closer to me, and fell in love with it. And I met a professor there that was really inspiring, and he was studying wound healing. So if you think about when you get a splinter and how your body can either wall it off and it's fine, or you can cut yourself and you get the scab and it heals. When you implant a plastic or a metal or a suture or anything in your body responds to it. So that's what I ended up studying in college, was how your body responds to that. And I ended up staying through for undergrad, staying through for grad school, ended up becoming Dr. Jones. I have a PhD, but I don't wear the fedora. And I ended up luckily being able to do that, and I came across Covidien, which sutures, implantable devices, that's their field. And much like Kristen, initially I was in the design and test phase. So I helped design new medical devices, some of the hernia mesh that you'll see, some of the suture products now I'm in our stapling team. But I also work on strategy and big picture. So although I'm not an archaeologist, my job still involves traveling the world and this country to find out what are the cool technologies people are doing. So I'm still studying what's new and what's innovative out there, but instead of looking backwards, I'm looking for what's today that we can use in the future. And I also get the luxury of being able to participate in this program and participate in our Women of Innovation program. We actually have a number of volunteers here today who are part of our Women of Innovation program. And ultimately, what that is the Connecticut Technology Council honors women and girls within the state of Connecticut that are in the science and engineering fields. I get the honor to read through their nominations every year and learn about what these people do, and it's inspiring. The things, especially, I hate to call you out and put you on the spot, especially what the high school students do, they know words that I didn't even know till I was 30. It's impressive the amount of knowledge and talent and resources that you guys have at your fingertips today. And the one common thing I see in all the nominations over the last 4 or 5 years now is that all of them identified a problem or something that was going on in their life around them. They had someone that was sick, they found, they wanted to go on a lake and it didn't have, you wanted to make sure you could step on it and be safe. You had an environmental issue at your school, and they identified something local, and they said, how can we go about solving it? And they all had that ability to look around and identify something. They all looked around and said, how can I find this out? You have Google, you have the internet, you have amazing resources right now at your fingertips that you can look something up and find out about a scientist in California. And if you have the courage, you can email that professor or email that company and learn about it and figure out how that can help you. And that's really what these girls and women have done over the years and created amazing, amazing things. So I really encourage you to kind of consider what's around you, consider what it is that you're interested in, I know it's cheesy to say if you pick a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life, but it's true. Like, find something you're passionate about. Think about what it is you like now, and you'll probably change your mind. Again, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Now I'm nowhere near that field. But I love my job, and it's something that I always feel happy to get up and go to work in the morning. So I wish that for all of you. I'd actually, because we have so many wonderful volunteers here, if we could have everyone that's been part of the Women of Innovation nomination, finalist, sponsor, I'd like to kind of have you guys stand up if you don't mind, just so we can kind of get an idea. So all these women here are in the science and engineering and math field. So ask them about their jobs, ask them about their careers, ask them about their lives. We'd like to thank the CTC for putting on, again, another amazing program. They really are, Mike and Paige, they really put this together every year, do all the recruiting, do all the planning. We'd like to thank the Science Center and all of your volunteers for helping us get set up today and really making this day and every year such a great, wonderful opportunity. And again, we just encourage you guys to get out there, have fun, enjoy your day.